The topic of this presentation is whether digitation of qualitative interviews is good or bad for the data flow. The professional debate on qualitative online interviews can be characterized as having three positions. The first can perhaps be described as anything goes and is characterized by the fact that advantages are seen in terms of costs and also that respondents who are unable or unwilling to take part in face-to-face research are now able to participate. On the other hand, there's a perspective that can perhaps be described as nothing works anymore. Approaches based on media richness or social presence theory, in particular, assume that personal relationships and emotional sensitive content suffer when encounters no longer take place face-to-face. A third position is somewhat ambivalent, as it observes, on the one hand, that online interviews do not represent the extensive conversations that face-to-face does, but can still be trusting and emotional. Overall, therefore, the debate remains somewhat perplexing, particularly with regard to the communication relationships between interviewer and interviewee. It is not really clear what exactly this is and what happens to it when it is digitized. Rapport, well-being, trust, and this rather romantic approach is not new. It has accompanied qualitative interviewing since its beginning. After all, we actually know quite a lot about interactions and their mediatization from a socio-theoretical and empirical perspective, even if this is not extensively reflected in the current literature. Face-to-face interactions are indeed not to be underestimated. Mead, Goffman, Garfinkel, Schütz, and Luckmann have explained in great detail that face-to-face interaction alone can lead to uninterrupted synchronization of actions and to the ego and alter being permanently coordinated in their consciousness and their perspectives of action and speech. With increasing asynchrony, this is less and less the case, which is due to the fact that the abundance of interpretation aids, signs, symbols, is decreased or is technically disrupted. On the other hand, with this knowledge in mind, it should not be overrated or even romanticized. It was precisely the authors mentioned above who pointed out that even in the face-to-face situation, flowing and functioning interaction connections are not, and certainly not in a mysterious or romantic way, simply there. They are the result of sometimes hard work that is characterized by constant repairs. This is also well documented in qualitative interviews. Moreover, the momentous wiseness of the social by no means always and for everyone leads to a sense of well-being and a comfortable continuation of conversation. We know from Goffman's work, among others, but also from more recent work, that people use media not only to bridge distances, but also to shield themselves from the immediate demands of direct face-to-face interaction. This is certainly the case most strongly in asynchrony, for example, possibly in written email interviews. To what extent do qualitative interviews lead to good data flows even at a maximum distance, for example, asynchronous correspondence, and what does this have to do with personal relationship? We have investigated this in various projects using different interview methods. We conducted narrative and semi-sectors interviews and also group discussions asynchronously in writing, and in particular also investigated how the interview is structured when we get to know some groups or people personally and communicate with them more personally. Written online interviews do not constitute humanistic, romantic, or even therapeutic relationships, as they are often portrayed. Instead, decidedly qualitative questioning techniques and not too close relationships generate interaction flows. This is true face-to-face, but it is also particularly evident online, although not all qualitative interview methods and therefore not all research objectives work at maximum distance.